How about a cylinder?
All right, and now it needs to be quiet. We all know the volume formulas. You all have them on there. We're going to start the quiz. Everybody, make sure you put your name on. The date is the 16th.
Thanks.
I am recording, so it just needs to be quiet. Period.
Like clock.
All right. Question, it says solve the problems below, use 3.14 for pi, and be sure to show all work. What is the volume of the cylinder below? It's pointing to this, and it says 10 inches, and this part is saying 30 inches. If you want to receive full credit, you will write the formula down, and then you will fill in the blanks, and then you will put it in your calculator. You're using 3.14 for pi.
I don't know the formula.
Caleb, you gotta stop talking, please. Look on your sheet that I just gave you. Guys, match the shapes to the picture. Cylinder, match the words to cylinder. If you're waiting for me, you just gotta wait. Because I'm not gonna skip around. I'm going to repeat number one more time, and then I'm going on to question number 2. Number 1 says, what is the volume of the cylinder below? This is listed as 10 inches. This is listed as 30 inches. Question number 2. Angela needs to find the volume of the sphere shown below. Which formula should she use? Super, super, super important that you recognize that this is the diameter. You need to find the radius and then plug it into the formula. The formula is listed on your volume sheet.
I might be a little behind.
I'm recording it. I'll read question number 2 again. Angela needs to find the volume of the sphere shown below. Which formula should she use? The picture gives you the diameter. We do not use diameter in the sphere volume formula. Keep that in mind. Question number 3. It says, Jessie is looking for the volume of the cone below. She is using the formula V equals 1/3 B times H. Which of the following is the value of B? So they want you to figure out what this B stands for. If you don't know the B, you need to look at the formula sheet, because when you look at the formula sheet, you'll see that there's not a B there. That's because there's a different thing that you need to plug in for B. And you just need to figure out what that is and put it in your calculator. It does make sense because the base is what shape, boys and girls? What shape is the base of a cone? The round part, which is a circle. So when you look at
Are you guys on 3?
the cone formula, you'll see that there is no B there. It is written as that.
Can you read 3?
I'll do it in a second. Rereading number 3 one more time. Jessie is looking for the volume of the cone below. She is using the formula V equals 1/3 base times height. Which of the following is the value of B, the base? Once again, you need to look at the formula sheet where it says the formula for the volume of a cone. There are some things there that you need to use for B, the base, which is in fact a circle. Don't forget you're using 3.14 for pi.
I just tried that.
When you do it, make sure you're not multiplying it by the height because they don't want you to multiply it by the height. They only want the base. So they don't want you to multiply it by 1/3 and they don't want you to multiply it by the height either. They just want the base. Question number 4. What is the volume of the cone shown below? Round to the nearest tenth. If I have a decimal, that place is the nearest tenth. Okay? So you have to use the cone formula. Remember, they give you the diameter, but you need the radius. That's a cone. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. Question number 4. What is the volume of the cone shown below? Round to the nearest tenth. So you're going to use the cone formula. You're going to fill in what you know. They give you the diameter. You need to figure out the radius. Fill in your formula and round it to the nearest tenth, which is this decimal place right here. Question number 5. Ollie has a jar of preserves in the shape of a cylinder below. If the jar is currently 1/4 full of preserves, what is the volume of the preserves in the jar? So this one, they're trying to make it confusing. It's not confusing, okay? What you'll do is you'll find the volume for this cylinder right here first, and then you're just multiplying it by 1/4. Does that make sense? Because it's only 1/4 full or 1/4 full. So go ahead and find the volume, and then you got to do a little multiplying by 1/4. Make sense? I'll read it one more time, okay? Ollie has a jar of preserves in the shape of a cylinder shown below. If the jar is currently 1/4 full of preserves, what is the volume of preserves in the jar? So go ahead and figure out the volume of the whole cylinder, but then you're multiplying it by 1/4 because it's only 1/4 full, right? Or 1/4 full. How you doing, Kaden? Okay, use your formula sheet, honey. All the formulas are right on there, and then you just have to fill in the blanks and put them in your calculator, okay?
It's hard without your help.
You're multiplying them. So did you figure out the volume for this, honey? You wrote down the formula for a cylinder? So we'll do that first. Then fill in what you know.
Wait, what do we have to do with the fourth?
You're going to multiply it by the answer that you got. All right, number 6. Which of the following is the volume of a hemisphere with a radius of 8 inches? So this is giving you the R. A hemisphere is half of a sphere. So remember what you got to do with that half after you figure out the volume of a full circle. You cut it in half. So if I were you, I'd be writing down the formula for a sphere. Kaden, you should at least be writing the formulas down for each one on your paper to get any credit. Like, I'm not sure why you're not doing it, kiddo. Like, I'm not going to give you more time. But you're not. Like, none of yours are filled out, and you're just sitting there. Is that what you need this whole time? All right, I'm going to reread 6, and then we're going on to the back because this is a bonus.
I want to do the bonus.
And we'll do it at the end.
Mm.
Which of the following is the volume of a hemisphere? Again, that's half a circle, or half a sphere with a radius of 8 inches. So you have to do the volume formula for a sphere, and then you have to cut it in half.
What is terms of pi?
I'm not going to be doing the bonus yet. I'll do it at the very end. So you're going to flip over your paper, and we will pick it up on number 8. Number 8, once again, it says solve the problems below. Use 3.14 for pi and be sure to show all your work. Find the volume of the sphere shown below. You leave your answers in terms of pi. So when it says that, you just don't put 3.14 in your calculator. You multiply all the other numbers, just not 3.14.
So you still put pi in the volume, right?
You can write it in the formula, yep. So write the formula just like that, like what it says on your paper. And then when you do it, though, when you're putting it in,
Just don't put pi.
you don't multiply pi in your calculator.
But you still put pi in the second one.
So you'll put pi. Pi will be in your answer down here.
So when you go to multiply it on your paper,
Just leave 3.14 up. Don't do it in your calculator.
So if I say v, I don't put equals pi
You do. You write it in your
the
formula.
second time.
Yeah, you can just move the pi to the end and like leave it out. You know what I mean? Just like kind of put it at the end. So I'll read that one again. It says, find the volume of the sphere shown below. Leave your answers in terms of pi. So the first thing you should be doing is rewriting the formula for a sphere. So write that formula down on your paper. After you do that, plug in the numbers that you know, And when you put it in your calculator, don't put in
We don't know
3.14.
the height.
You don't need the height for a sphere, honey. All right. Question number 9. A kid's pool is a cylindrical, so cylinder. It's cylindrical and it has a radius. It has a radius of 5 feet and a height of 2 feet. If a cubic foot holds about 7.84 gallons of water, how many gallons of water does the kid's pool hold? So you first have to figure out how many cubic gallons of water are in the pool. It's a cylinder shape. So write your formula for a volume of a cylinder first. Fill in what you know. It does give you the radius and it does give you the height, so that's nice. And then at the end, it says 1 cubic foot holds 7.848 gallons of water. So you're dividing how many gallons are in the pool, and you're dividing it by 7.48 so that you can figure out how many gallons of water the kids' pool will hold. So the answer you get, you will take that answer and you will divide it by that. So make sure you write your formula for a cylinder down first. Actually, are you dividing or are you multiplying?
It's usually multiplying.
Yeah, sorry. I think it is multiplying.
Multiply by what?
That's nice. I actually got an answer.
Huh?
I actually got the right
That's good.
Sorry,
because each one of those holds that many and you have that many in it. So
Divide
yeah,
by
I'm
what?
sorry. I misspoke. You're not dividing, you're multiplying those those two numbers. My fault.
multiply by what?
Honey, listen to me. You get the volume for the cylinder. You then are taking that number and multiplying this by 7.48. So that's why when you get an answer, you have to kind of like write it down or remember it. All right, question number 10. A cylinder has a volume of 24 cubic feet. Which of the following could have the same radius and weight as the cylinder? So in order to, I'm sorry, a cylinder has a volume of 24 cubic feet. Which of the following could have the same radius and height as the cylinder?
We don't know the radius or height.
You don't know the radius and height of this one? You kind of have to know. Remember that there was a page in the book that Mrs. Dolph was going over yesterday, and she's like, remember this because a cylinder is what of a sphere and what of a cone.
Can we just look in the book?
You can't really, I mean,
Is it cheating?
yeah, you can't really look in the book. You kind of
See,
just
I
have to
the book
remember.
anyway.
No, it's right there. On the ground by your book.
But even if you look in the book, it won't help you unless you understand. Like, remember the ratios that she had us
That made
flag
no
it?
sense, so I skipped
Why is David going?
the finish.
All right. Well, I mean, you can go have her check yours.
I have to write a formula.
You don't have to write a formula. This one you might have to take a best guess. Like you have to think of it in a way like, can a cylinder hold more than a cone or a sphere, or does it hold less, and by how much? You know what I mean?
How do you know?
So it's because she did the ratio with us in class. She said like a sphere holds 2/3 of it, what a cylinder holds. And a cone holds like 1/3 of what a cylinder holds. Remember that? So you'd have to figure out which one of those is 1/3 or 2/3 of 24. So that one, if you're unsure of how to do it, I would just take your best guess. Because I'm not going to be able to sit here and like help you solve it and like relearn it.
There's a bunch of cones. I would want to cone.
How would I cut?
However you want to do your process of elimination, do that, but then just pick the best answer because I can't really explain it any better than what I'm explaining it. But I'll start going over number 11. A frozen yogurt shop allows guests to fill a cone-shaped cup with frozen yogurt.
How do you make a cup shaped as a cone?
And customers pay 8 cents per cubic inch. If each cup has a radius of 3 inches and a height of 5 inches, what would it cost to fill the cone to its full capacity? So again, here you're going to figure out the volume of this cone. And then that cone, you're timesing it by 0.08 to figure out how much that full cone will cost you. So write down the formula for a cone. Fill in what you know. I see 3 inches and I see a radius of 3 inches and I see a height of 5 inches. Figure out how much volume that is, and then go ahead and times it by that 0.08, because that's how much money it's going to cost. So if you haven't written down the formula for a cone yet, make sure you do that. That's where you start. Huh? Because you just sat here and like yelled 3 times that you don't know what the heck you're doing. And then I look at your paper and it's because you don't write the formula down, so you don't even know like what goes where. So look at what I underlined. It tells you the radius and it tells you the height in inches. So you should be able to fill in what you know and then just plug it into your calculator. So first you figure out the volume, and then once you figure out the volume, that's how much volume's in there. You times that by that 0.08, because that's going to tell you how much money the cone will cost you. All right, I'm going to do number 12. A cone, a cylinder, and a sphere all have the same radius and the same height. Which would have the largest volume? So this one kind of ties in with the one above it. Does the cone have the largest volume? Does the cylinder have the largest volume? Does the sphere have the largest volume? Or do the sphere and the cylinder have the same volume?
You just take a random number and like try to do it.
Absolutely. You absolutely could do that, Harrington. And then you could plug it into each formula. So if I were you, I would just use the number 1 for a radius and the number 2 for like height. So you could plug it into the cone formula, the sphere formula, and the cylinder formula and see which one was the biggest. Up to you.
Would this be rounding to the nearest 10th or no? Like all those roots would be taken away, right?
All right. While some of you are finishing that one, I will read number 13. Number 13 says, Harvey bought 2, count them, 2 piñatas. One is shaped like a soccer ball, and the other is shaped like a basketball. Well, hopefully you know that those shapes are spheres. Those are spheres, both of them. A basketball and a soccer ball are spheres. Both piñatas are spheres with a radius of 5 inches. So they both have a radius of 5 inches. What is the total volume of both piñatas round to the nearest 10th? There's 2 ways you could do this. You could do 2 separate formulas and then add them together. Or since they have the same radius, at the end of your formula, you could just multiply by 2.
This is coming. How do you get the diameter? You're doing something by diameter. How do you get diameter?
I'm going to do that one next.
Okay. I'm confused. How do you get a diameter?
Mm-hmm. Is that all you need to know before you can start to do that one?
Yeah.
Well, figure out the radius and multiply it by
2. It only says the volume and then the height.
Mm-hmm. So rewrite that formula and plug in what they give you. I'll set that one up for you. All right, how we doing, guys? How you doing?
Good.
You got stuff written down?
Can you look at this question?
Huh? Yes or no?
What would I do?
Okay. Are you at least writing the formulas down? Because those are right on your formula sheet, honey. Right? Like that you don't even really have to think about. All right. So hopefully you could just do one formula for a sphere for that one and then just multiply it by 2 because both balls have the same radius, okay? I'm going to do the number 14. It says the cylinder below has a volume of 2,512 centimeters cubed. That's the volume, guys. And this is a cylinder. It has a height of 8 centimeters. What is the diameter of the cylinder? Well, don't forget your diameter, okay, is just your radius times 2. Because you're going to figure out your radius, right, Harrington? You can for sure figure out the radius. I'll show you how. And then you just have to do times 2, right? You are going to have to use your square root button on this one. Don't forget. So you're going to do your volume of a cylinder, which is pi r squared times height. Oops, that's an h, right? When you do that, you have to plug in the volume here and the height here. You're going to have to do a little multiplying on this side between pi and the height. And after you do that, you have to do a little division on both sides because whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other to get r squared by itself, okay? At the very end, to get rid of r squared, you have to do the square root.
I'm so confused.
I know. But that's all I can really help you because I really want to see what you know on this. We did do a bunch of these ones in class together.
Why did she give us stuff?
I'm just doing it.
Remember, she will give you partial credit. If you at least plug in the volume and then plug in the numbers if you know where they go, she can at least give you some points for setting it up right. If you don't even write down anything and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this, then she can't even see what part you don't understand. What's up, Harrington?
Okay, so just remember, there are two numbers here. You did that, right? And you got that. That, just like that. So I would rewrite it, but I would rewrite it as, or no, you can just divide that.
What are the dots?
What are we doing?
Where's the hawk?
Hey, go sit. This is not a thing. We're taking a test. Caleb, are you done with your test? 'Cause
I was
if you
just
are-
wondering where the
I know,
hawk
but we're
was.
in the middle of a test and I'm recording, so I don't really want that on my recording of this test. Well, look, hey, what two numbers did you just do together? That one and that one, you have to cross those out. Because you just got rid of them. You did that with the pi too. The pi too, yep. So now,
I don't get anything.
you divided that. What's left over down that you're gonna drop down here? Write it down here. What's left over? Yep. And now do those in your calculator. And now then you're gonna have to do the square root, right? You can multiply that and that together first, and then whatever you get for those two numbers, you're dividing it on both sides. Remember that? Don't worry about it. All right, I'm going over the last question.
I'm going to,
Hold on a second. If you're not finished, just leave it right here. Darla has 3 buckets shaped like cylinders. She is filling the buckets with water by using a scoop shaped like a cone. If the cone has the same radius and the same height as the buckets, how many scoops will it take her to fill the 3 buckets? A, 3 scoops, B, 9 scoops, C, 27 scoops, or is there not enough information to tell? If you didn't finish, kids in here, leave it for me. Make sure your name's on it. Kids at home, make sure you finish and turn it in.
yeah, can you bring this back to the stall?
What? Run it over there, bud.
Is there one more week left of school?